So, deciding what to do for a video for this week, I was a little torn on whether to do a book shopping trip because I haven't been to my local bookstore here in a while, but unfortunately I had some issues with mistakenly sleeping in far too long yesterday and today, and with all the cleaning and whatnot I had to do, it did not work out for me to go book shopping this weekend. But I do have plans to go back to Atlanta to visit my family on this next Thursday, most likely, unless it's chance of snow. Right now it's about 30% overnight on Thursday night, so we'll see. Georgia is not the most reliable when it comes to snow predictions. So, watching the weather, but hopefully I will get a chance to actually do another Second and Charles trip while I am there, because that'll be fun. But for now, I figured I would try and do one of the other book challenge videos. Now granted, because my bookshelves are shorter than average, it makes it a little bit more difficult to film while standing in front of them, so I have decided to go for this new angle that I have never used before in any video to try and get a little bit of the bookshelves in the background, but unfortunately you can't see the last like 1.5 shelves. But there is no real angle that can fully get everything in frame, so we work with what we've got for now. So yeah, I decided I will try how well do I know my books, and yeah, I don't really know. It's been a minute since I've watched any of the other challenge videos. I have a general idea of some of the questions, and I really don't know how well I'll do, but we're gonna try it out and see. So on my computer I have 3 tabs set up, technically 4. One is with all the questions just all set up, and then in a separate window I have everything for the random number generator set up, because I am not big enough to have people send me coordinates yet, but it's fine. This will work. I'm also working on this fairly last minute because the couple of people that did vote on whether I should do like a book challenge or a book shopping trip, 4 out of 5 people voted for book shopping, and unfortunately it didn't work out. But anyway, so I've got one tab here open where it's got 1 through 5 for the bookshelf. So I've got 1 behind me over here, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 is over in front of the window on the other side of the room. And then the second tab I have 1 through 3 for the top, middle, or bottom shelf. And then my last tab is 1 through 25 as the average-ish number of books on each shelf. And yeah, gonna kind of go from there. And unfortunately, because they aren't really set up on a shelf, I'm more or less excluding these new books in the pile on top of the shelves here. But I haven't read like hardly any of those anyway yet, so it's fun. So yeah, here we go. So first question is, without looking at the description, tell us what the book is about. So first one, shelf 5 in front of the window, middle shelf, book 15. So the first book is going to be Heaven and Hell by John Jakes, which is the final book of the North and South trilogy. I have not read this book yet, but I have watched the actual adaptation, the mini-series with Patrick Swayze. and the other dude who I keep thinking looks so much like Hugh Jackman but isn't him. He's the dad in Legally Blonde instead. But anyway, don't recall his name, but I've watched that miniseries several times growing up with my mom, so I remember kind of. This last one I haven't watched as much, but basically the whole series is about these two guys who go off to West Point, and one of them is from the north, I think in Pennsylvania, and the other one is from the south. Patrick Swayze's character is from the south. I want to say like South Carolina or North Carolina, but don't know for sure on that one. But basically the first one starts off with them going to West Point and becoming like best friends, and then afterwards it basically shows about their lives afterwards, how well they hold on to their relationship despite the Civil War and being on opposite sides of it and the whole shebang. So yeah, if I remember correctly from the show, one of the two of them has just died towards the beginning of this one, and then it kind of just goes through them dealing with that one of them that has died. I don't remember a whole lot of plots behind that. It's been a few years since I've last recently watched it, but yeah. Without looking it up, what is the genre of this book? Is this going to be bookshelf 4? Why is it not? There we go. Bottom shelf. Book 11. Okay, so for this one I have The Current by Tim Johnston. This is an ARC copy I actually got from Gottwall's Books a couple years ago, and I have read it and had some thoughts on it because the grammar editing in this copy, I don't know if it carries over into the final, but there's at least one sentence that runs a page and a half long in here with little to no punctuation whatsoever. And that was a common theme throughout it, so it was very hard to tell what was going on at times. But basically, this book was a little bit of like a mystery thriller. Basically, these two girls go to basically drive home from school for the school break, I believe. And I want to say they go to Nebraska or like the state line. And on their way to one of the girls' homes, their family, to go visit their dad. The other girl just went with her. And basically, just before they cross the state line, I think it is, or right on the state line, they stop at a gas station and kind of get harassed outside of the bathrooms there. And when they're driving away, they go across a bridge and get chased off, like, across the bridge, and end up running off the road and end up going into the river underneath the bridge, and one of the girls dies. And basically it kind of goes back and forth between flashbacks and present day, because it's the same spot where someone else had drowned in the same river a few years prior, and it basically brings up a whole bunch of stuff about seeing if the two incidences are connected. And yeah, it was an interesting read, but for me it was hard to follow because it also has multiple points of view, and it didn't specify when it switched points of view, and then also wouldn't really specify when it was flashing forwards or flashing backwards. So there was a few times when I would start reading and have no idea who I was who I was reading from. And also, like, there was one part where it was talking about how the character who's perspective we were reading from was looking out the kitchen window with the dog next to her in the kitchen, and how it reminded her of like back in the day, but it was still the present time, and it was like the way that it was worded just didn't make any sense. I'm like, you're saying that you're like going into flashback but also talking about the present at the same time, and I have no idea what's happening right now. So yeah, that was a struggle. A lot of feelings on how that whole like formatting affected my reading. Anyway, so that is this one. Without looking at the book, tell us what is on the cover. So the next one is going to be the third shelf, middle, book 5. Okay, so the next book is Another Day. Let's see if I can. Yes, Another Day. And I just recently read this, like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that. It's by David Levison, and it's the sequel to Every Day, where A is this like disembodied spirit person. We don't even know who, what, but she /he/who, there's no real gender thing. That's another whole point of it. They wake up in a new body every day, and so yeah, that's a whole thing. So I want to say this one has Rhiannon, who is the other main character, like a silhouette of her, kind of, and a lot of cloud, and possibly one person like kind of falling in the background, maybe something like that. I'm not super far off. There's Rhiannon. It's not a silhouette, but it is kind of like blur-ish, not a whole ton. And then there's the falling person and lots of clouds. I did forget about the circles though, but I wasn't far off. Without looking it up, what is the main character's name? So the first bookshelf behind me, top shelf, book number 8. I was like, this is gonna be so easy, it's my Harry Potter shelf. But I wound up with this honker, which is Alarming Teens, The Essential Guide to Defense Against the Dark Arts. So there isn't a main character, because this is actually like a reference book. It's got spells and stuff in it. It's like a textbook for Defense Against the Dark Arts. But we'll take this as, you know, because it's part of the Potter universe, Harry Potter is of course the main character. Without looking, name a side character. And we're gonna do second shelf, middle shelf, number 18. Okay, so we have a problem with this one. This is Ink Death by Cornelia Funk. It is the end of the Inkheart trilogy, and I have not read any of the books. I've watched most, maybe not all, of the film adaptation of Inkheart, so I don't know any of the characters' names. Because I think when I did watch the movie, it was probably about 10 years ago. And like I said, I'm not even sure I finished it. So, I have no idea of any characters' names whatsoever. Guess how many pages the book has without looking. If you guess 25 below or 25 above the number, you can count it as a win. So this one's gonna be fun. So bookshelf 3, bottom shelf, book number 9. Okay, so the book we ended up with is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. And I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with the plot of this, where of course the main character, why did I forget her name, is Louisa. It's been only like a year since I've read this. She basically gets hired as like a caretaker for, what's his name, Will Traynor, who is disabled, and yeah, they fall in love, and yeah, it's a sad book, but I read the whole trilogy and it was worthwhile. Anyway, how many pages do we think this is? I'm gonna say like 375. That feels kind of right in the general area. Oh, 369 pages. I was only off by like 6. That's fantastic. Without looking it up, what rating did you give this book? If you land on a book you haven't read, pick a new set of numbers. So, bookshelf 4, middle shelf, 8th book. So for this one we have Never World Awake by Marisha Pessl, and I did read this last year, and honestly I listened to it on audiobook and I don't remember a whole lot of what happened beyond the general plot, where basically a group of friends get stuck in a time loop, and there's something about someone, I think in their friend group, that died several years prior. So yeah. I'm fairly certain that I gave this probably, I'm still working about being a little bit more critical in my ratings, so I'm fairly certain I probably gave this a 4 stars on Goodreads. I may have to look that up. Without looking, where does this book take place? So the next one is going to be on bookshelf 3, bottom shelf 20, so 320. So we have got Joe and Laurie by Margaret Stoll and Melissa Dela Cruz, which I have not read yet, but if I recall correctly from Little Women, I'm pretty sure they live in Connecticut or Massachusetts. Can I guess both? And it's like Civil War era. Concord, Massachusetts, 1869. Without looking, what are the parents' names for top shelf 24. So for this one we have 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott, and I'm gonna be honest, I've read it, I've watched it, but I don't even recall if they mentioned the parents' names in this, to be quite honest. So I have no idea. I want to say that they're not mentioned, so we're gonna have to Google this one. think I forgot to record me choosing the random numbers for this. But there they are for 124. Aaron and Tom, I guess, and or Abby. Okay. I failed. Without looking at the hardback, what color is the book underneath the dust jacket? And we've got third shelf, bottom, 11. This isn't even a hardback, but so technically that came out to Still Me by Jojo Moyes, which is a paperback. So I went with the next hardback or closest on the shelf, which is What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. And I want to say it's this like whitish, beigeish color underneath it to match the dust jacket. I really don't know, I've never looked. Da-da. He was right. Without looking, is there anything on the hardback like an imprint or an image of some sort? Or 220. Okay, so for this one we have Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, which I have also never looked at because I only just got this book like 2 weeks ago. I don't even know if the Hate You Give has anything on it because I haven't checked that one before either. Ooh. I'm going to guess yes and just leave it at that. And I was wrong. We have nothing but a title on the cover. The rest of it is completely blank. Without taking the dust jacket off, what is the color of the font on the hardback? And that is going to be 11. That doesn't count because there is no dust jacket. And this is all paperbacks. Let's see. You know what, we're gonna do the same coordinates but on a hardback shelf because it's primarily paperbacks on this side. So top shelf, 11th book. I'm gonna go with the 5th bookshelf just because I've barely touched it yet. Alright, so we wound up with The Last Star by Rick Yancey. I want to say I may have even read this without the cover on it, but I was primarily listening to an audiobook, so that means nothing. I am going to guess I'm gonna go with red. I couldn't decide between white, gold, or red. Dang it! It's gold. I don't know. One of my guesses was right, just not the one I ended up going with. Without looking, do the chapters have titles or are they just numbered? You got 5 to 14. Another one where we wound up with a book directly adjacent to one I've already used. This time we have Love and War by John Jakes, which is the second book in North and South series. So I'm going to guess that there are chapter titles. That's the question, right? Titles are just numbers, yeah. I'm gonna guess titles, because this seems like a titles book. I was wrong, and I just smacked my face. Ow. That hurt. Okay. Is that freaking blood or just my lipstick? No. I have a cut on my lip, so it's a little bit swollen, so I think I may have actually like smacked that cut. But yeah, it's just numbers. I was so wrong. Without looking at the book cover, does it have an award on it? I've got 4. Yeah, so I've got 4, top shelf, 10. So 4, 1, 10. Trying not to touch the cover, to feel it potentially. But we have Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins, and I'm going to assume no. I don't think I have very many books with awards on them. I don't think this is one of them. I was right. Without looking, does this book have any author blurbs on the front cover? So 5 to 14. That's Love and War again, so we're gonna have to pick another one. 4, 3, 23. So we have the Sorcerer's Companion. I cannot recall the name of the authors. I want to say it's got some weird like KZ something in the front of the name that I can't figure out how to best pronounce. But I'm going to say that there is some sort of blurb on the front cover. Nope. I was just thinking of this like disclaimer at the bottom where it says this book has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by any person or entity that created, published, or produced the Harry Potter books or related properties. But I was right about the author names. Or it's like Kronskick. So I was a little wrong on the letters that were throwing me off, but I can't quite figure out if that is Z-E-K or Z-C-K. I'm assuming E, but it keeps throwing me off with that font. Without looking, does the book have a description on the back? We've got 5, 1, 9. So we have The Fifth Wave by Yancey. And most hardcovers do not have descriptions on the back, but this is a movie tie-in. Shoot. I'm gonna go with yes as an exception. God dang it, it's just blurbs and movie credits. Without looking, does this book have an author photo? 1, 2, 14. We have Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, and I want to say that there is an author photo on the inside of the back cover. I was right. Without looking it up, is this author using a pen name? Don't think I have hardly any with pen name, but we'll see. 4, 3, 2. So I landed with the unofficial Ultimate Harry Potter spellbook, and so this doesn't really count. So I'm gonna get some new coordinates. 3, 2, 15. new coordinates have led us to Chosen by PC Cast and Crichton Cast from the House of Night series. And I'm going to assume that this is their real names. But we're gonna look it up now. Yeah, this is looking like actual names here. Without peeking, what point of view is this book written in? Is it first or third? 1, 3, 24. So we have A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett, which I have read last year or the year before. I think it was 2019 actually. But what perspective was it in? Oh my God. Pretty sure third. Yep. It's third. I'm seeing a lot of the word she. Just to make sure. Yep, on that first morning when Sarah sat. Yep. Without looking, are there any pictures or graphics in this book? This one should hopefully be easy. 4, 2, 19. So we have The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. And I'm going to assume that there are not pictures in this book. And I'm right. Without looking, does it have an epilogue? That one's going to be harder. 3, 4. And we have The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett again. I don't think this has an epilogue. Yeah, the last chapter just says, I think that's 27 for the last chapter name. And yeah, no epilogue. Nope. Okay. Without looking, does this book have a prologue? And we're gonna go 5, 2, 6. Alright, so we have another one of my unread books, which is Then We Came to the End by Joshua Ferris. From what I do vaguely remember about the plot of this, I'm going to say that there is not a prologue. Does. It doesn't say prologue, but like this is the start of it here. This like little mini chapter, and then it definitely says 1. So I was wrong. So without looking, is this book signed? 2, 1, 25. And so we wound up with Perfect by Sherry Shepherd from the Pretty Little Liars. And I can tell you that this is not signed. I just picked it up from Secondhand Charles. And, yeah. It's not signed. Without looking, do the page numbers have a design above or below them, or nothing at all? We go 1, 2, 3. And we have another recent purchase with the book Charmer by Karen Hawkins. And by the look of it, just by like design on the front cover, I'm gonna just take a wild guess and say that there are designs around the page numbers. I was thinking of chapter titles, and so I guess danged wrong. And as I said it, I was like, oh no, I messed up. Without looking, do the chapter headers have designs on them? That's the question I had in mind when I was answering, even though I said a different thing a lot of times. Just out of curiosity though. Let's see. Would I have been right? I would have been right though if it had been about the chapter headings. So coordinates for the actual chapter headers is going to be 4, 1, 12. Now we have a bad idea. Never twirl. That one badly. They have Beauty and the Beast, Lost in a Book by Jennifer Donnelly, which I have read. But do I remember if there were chapter designs? No, but I'm going to guess yes. Like an idiot. Without looking, are the acknowledgments in the front or the back of the book? Let us see. 3, 3, 4. That's a secret garden again. So we have 1, 2, 3. We just did that. Okay. 3, 3, 1. That one took a few tries, but we have The Program by Suzanne Young. I have not read this. Haven't really looked inside it, but this seems like the kind of book that would have it in the back for acknowledgments. There's an epilogue, so looks like I'm wrong. Yeah. This is the closest they have to acknowledgments, and of course it's in the front. Without looking, what year was this book published? 4, 2, 9. And so we have Nemesis by Brandon Reichs, which I have not read yet, but my brain immediately guessed 2016 for whatever reason. So we'll see how well that. I was close. 2017 now. And the last question is, without looking, what year did you read this book? And we have 5, 1, 1. Let's see if I've even read it. The answer is no, because it's The Star Won't Go Out by Esther Earls, so you gotta pick new coordinates. So I have 4, 3, 9. And that is styling for Instagram, which we have also not read yet. 1, 2, 3 again. So we're gonna skip that. 2, 1, 1. And the final book of the challenge is going to be Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. And I read this in 2019. Pretty sure. There's a small chance it was 2018. Pretty sure it was 2019. And I'm going to look at my little library card here. See? What does that say? 2019, yes! I was right. Also really need to update the rest of my books because I have not stamped my reading finish dates in my little library cards in a hot minute. But yeah, there we go. Now to see how many points we got. Because probably not a minute. No, maybe somewhat decent. Let's see. Without looking at the description, tell us what the book's about. I'm gonna say yeah, because I had an idea. 2, without looking it up, what is the genre of this book? I got that one. Without looking at the book, tell us what is on the cover. That one was right. Without looking it up, what is the main character's name? Without looking, name a side character. Which one was that? Right, that one was Ink Death, so no. Guess how many pages the book has without looking. That one was right. Without looking it up, what rating did you give this book? Without looking, where does this book take place? Without looking, what are the parents' names? Without looking at the hardback, what color is the book underneath the dust jacket? Without looking, is there anything on the hardback, like an image or like an imprint or image? Without taking the dust jacket off, what is the color of the font on the hardback? Without looking, do the chapters have titles or are they just numbered? Without looking at the book cover, does it have an award on it? Without looking, does this book have any author blurbs on the front cover? Without looking, does the book have a description on the back? Without looking, does the book have an author photo? Without looking it up, is this author using a pen name? Without peeking, what point of view is this book written in? Without looking, are there any pictures or graphics? Without looking, does it have an epilogue? Without looking, does this have a prologue? Without looking, is this book signed? Without looking, do the page numbers have a design above or below them or not at all? Without looking, did the chapter headers have designs on them? Without looking, how are the acknowledgements in the front or back? Without looking, what year was this book published? And without looking, what year did you read this book? So that would be 16 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So 16 out of 28. How good is that? Let us see. %. Yeah, sounds about right. So that was a fun time. Yeah. So next week should be a book shopping video. And yeah. Gonna be some exciting times. I am going to hopefully get to go see some family people for a weekend before Valentine's. So yeah, if there's any books on this quiz that you have also read, definitely let me know, because I I think there were a few that I haven't really seen mentioned elsewhere. And, you know, as always, if you have some book suggestions, leave them for me. And, yeah, we're always open to clearly adding to the collection, of course. And, you know, any other updates of ideas of videos I should do, definitely let me know, as, of course, I'm fairly new at the full-on booktube game, so any ideas for some awesome stuff is always appreciated as well. And in the meantime, if you need me, I will still be reading.